are back on Morning Mover. Shares of AMD are at a 9-month high, and Citi thinks it can get a bit higher. The firm today boosting its price target to 165 from 145. It is, though, keeping a neutral rating on the shares. Citi sees the stock continuing to move higher due to strength in AI, but remains concerned that buy-side expectations are too high. Time now for Options Corner. Joining us to take a deeper look at AMD is Rick Ducat, lead market technician. All right, Rick, AMD has been an outperformer compared to the broader market, and I know you've noticed some similar patterns in other charts, but I also have to give a note. Lisa Su, the head of AMD, is probably grateful for a year that she wished AMD had last year, but they're having it this year. Talk to us about the trends that you're noticing for the chart for AMD, Rick.
Yes, and you know, a longer term look here showing that over the past 52 weeks, AMD is underperforming its sector, but now we can see this very rapid resurgence here coming back into prominence here, and year to date we're up 32% or so here. So when we look at AMD, it's such an interesting story because, you know, this is one that was the darling of the sector, one that was really chipping away at the dominance of bigger companies, you know, Intel, Nvidia here. But then we had this very abrupt decline here. We started at 174.05, that was our high point, all the way down to 76.48, and then this very V-shaped recovery here, kind of like a cup and handle type pattern here. What you see is we have a notable resistance point in the gap here, gradually bottoming out, coming back up to that resistance point now for a test. We've filled that gap a while back here. Now we're coming up again to this level. What you would expect then with the cup and handle pattern, if it were to play out, would be a brief rejection here and then a continuation of the trend, giving us this coffee cup-like shape here. But we can see that this area here, our volume node around 157 or so, that's a standout area. So here, that's where we have to break above. To the downside, 144, our green line volume node, our trend line here, and our 21-day EMA as well. Notice that RSI also making new highs into the overbought area. Just because something is high doesn't mean it can't go higher. That's the challenge.
Just because something is high doesn't mean it can't go higher. That's a great point there. Rick, any notable options activity that you saw in the stock yesterday?
Right, so today's is expiration day, and just to take a quick look at these monthlies that are expiring today, on the call side, our range would be about 100 to 170 here, 140 the highest activity. On the put side here, 100 to 155, 150 is the highest level here. Expected move about plus minus 3% or so, rather sizable for only 1 day potentially.
Okay, and then Rick, what's the approach for an example trade? Because the Citigroup note wasn't exactly bullish. I mean, they're neutral on this one, but they do raise their price target. So how do you approach this from an example trade point of view?
Sure. So given that kind of bullish, maybe lukewarm bullish take here, one trade you could consider would be an unbalanced butterfly type trade here, going out to that August expiration to capture AMD's upcoming earnings event here. We can see that this type of trade is basically you're buying a call spread and selling a call spread at the same time. In a conventional butterfly, the strikes would be equidistant. In this case, the unbalanced butterfly, we're doing 170 plus 1, 180 minus 2, 185 plus 1 to give us this shape here where we have risk definition to the back here. 165 debit would be our max loss for this trade here. But we also have this rather interesting situation where we can see that for this area here, this shaded area, that's about our expected move around that time period. So that would be a point where we would expect, for the most part, price to kind of slow down. So that's our peak here. So we would capture a lot of the upside here if we were to keep going and go beyond that level. It flattens out here, still profitable. It would still be a 335 profit at this flat area here. So, and just because something is high doesn't mean it can't go higher. That's one take on it. But also it's got to stop somewhere. So if you look at the expected move boundaries here, this would be one way to play this type of situation here. Risk defined, moderately bullish here, but the potential for a big spike here. Max profit potentially would be about $800 or so, $835.
Okay, all right. That's an example trade there for AMD. Keep in mind, AMD has been an outperformer year to date, but on a year-over-year basis, it is a different story. Thank you, Rick.